So, having 7 children yourself, what's your personal advice for Virginians trying to manage the rising cost of college for their children?
Yeah, and my first is in college. I've got 6 more to go. This is a major issue for me, and one of my most critical focuses for higher education is the cost. It's affordability. You know, we have financial aid for people at the bottom end of the economic scale, thank goodness. People at the top end of the economic scale don't really need it, but the massive middle, we're pricing college out of reach. And so I have proposed aggressively using the kind of credits you pull from high school now and digital learning to start to reduce prices and to challenge each university to find a way to offer a $10,000 STEM degree. And I expect them to have it to be for people who have credits coming in and for some digital learning to go on so they can make more productive use of their teachers. But there are other universities that are way ahead of us. The biggest university in Virginia is Liberty because of their 92,000 online students. There are opportunities there, especially for several of our higher education institutions. And various universities in Virginia have particularly good departments. I'll pick one where I went, George Mason. Their econ department is famous. That's something they can sell way beyond George Mason to help finance the university and to bring down the cost of everyone's education there. The same can be said at other universities around Virginia. That's a course I'd like to see us on.
Okay, and then we both did a story on education, but since we are pressed for time, we only have time to ask one question. But the biggest issue out of all 3 of the issues we saw was SOLs.
Yeah.
So how do you plan to tackle that issue?
We'll set up a commission. We call it our Apples Commission, academics, principals, and so on. We're going to get everybody in there. We believe the standards of learning tests need to evolve. They were a great tool almost 20 years ago when we first brought them online to provide accountability to taxpayers and to parents. They are also began to be used more and more as a tool to evaluate teachers. I don't think they're the fairest tool in the world to evaluate teachers with, because teachers sort of take their kids as they find them rather than getting evaluated on what do they provide to the children in their classroom for the year. And that's really the direction we need to go to be fairer to teachers. And also, we want to move away from the sort of rote memorization and teaching to the test that I believe are problems with the current way we use standards of learning tests. They also tie all our schools to the same testing date. And if we have tests that are more generic and everybody doesn't have to take the exact same test at the exact same time, the schools can test at different times in the year. They can retest faster for kids that fail on the first try. And it also accommodates schools on different school schedules. So there are a lot of things we can do to make the school system work better just by how we adjust our standard of learning tests.
Okay, and then final question is on your optimism for Tuesday. I heard you talking in there about your optimism on Tuesday and how you lost Arlington. But how optimistic are you for Tuesday? And what else do you think you need to do between now and Tuesday to get one vote?
Yeah, I am optimistic about the outcome on Tuesday. Momentum is the most valuable thing in politics, and we have it. It's coming our way. You can see every poll closing for us. And I'm a very good closer. And it isn't me. It's all these people you saw here tonight. They're enthusiastic. They're fired up. We're more energized than our opponents are. And about some key issues, like economic growth and tax cuts versus Terry's tax increases. Obamacare is a dividing issue between Republicans and independents and even some Democrats on my side and core liberal Democrats on Terry's side. That is a great issue for us, and Tuesday is going to be a bit of a referendum on that issue. So some voters who zero in on that, but might not show up in a state race, they might just show up in a federal race, will come and vote in this election because they can send Washington a message with their vote on Tuesday, November 5th.
Okay, and then Obama coming, I have a follow-up question, if you got 2 minutes. But since Obama's coming Sunday, how crucial do you think that is for voters? And then what do you
I think it is. I think the president's visit on Sunday is critical for us because it crystallizes this race around his signature legislative accomplishment, Obamacare, which is falling apart before our very eyes. It is an abject disaster. It's obviously a disaster, and yet my opponent wants to expand it even further in Virginia. So it really draws attention to that issue when the president comes on Sunday, only 2 days before the election. And the news reports of that are going to be Monday, the day before the election. So I think that's very important timing. I'm very happy to see the president coming to Virginia. We always like to welcome presidents to Virginia. But it will give us an opportunity to focus on a referendum issue in this race, and that's Obamacare.